Nitin Soni. Nitin, hi, afternoon. Thanks for joining in. What did you make of all the announcements coming in with regards to Jio, the Google investment coming in? And more importantly, Nitin, purely from a strategy point of view, the fact that Reliance Jio is now geared up for 5G, that's going to pressurize the incumbents such as Vodafone Idea as well as Bharti too to now pitch and, fill up their coffers. I understand that Bharti may have ability to do that, but that puts a big question mark on what Idea is going to do next. Nitin, can you hear me? Okay, we have Nikhil Batra as well. Nikhil, hi, afternoon. What to your mind really stood out from the AGM today?
I think it's not about one announcement or one product. It's more about how Reliance has positioned the Jio Platforms as an enabler of the digital India, the new digital India, whether it's JioMart, JioMeet, or Jio Glass, the Jio 5G, the broader partnerships with Facebook, Google, Qualcomm, and others. So everything that they announced today, from the Google investment to development of a homegrown 5G stack to JioMart, Jio, etc., it places and it works really well on the overall digital India vision, I think.
Yeah, absolutely it does. Nikhil, the point that I was pondering about with Nitin Soni as well, and hopefully we'll have him shortly, what does it, or rather what position does it really put incumbents into? Because here you've got Jio now gearing up for 5G spectrum auction itself, and that's really going to push the incumbents to upgrade. And, the question right now with regards to that big overhang when it comes to the AGR dues is about sustainability when it comes to cash on their books. So do you think it really puts them in a back seat?
Certainly does. I mean, Reliance Jio's strategy to gain control of telecom industry by offering free cheap data voice plans way back, which the carriers were not happy about, and then to solidify its position in the Indian telco space through big, bold investments, which have now led to these partnerships. So this does definitely put a lot of pressure on the incumbents. And at a time when they are busy fighting their AGR battles and other battles, Reliance is making these partnerships and getting ready for that next wave of development, next wave of solutions that it spoke about. So the partnerships with the likes of Facebook, Google, everything that it spoke about around 5G, developing a full homegrown 5G stack, gearing up for 5G spectrum auctions before taking that 5G stack to the overseas market. I mean, all of that puts immense pressure on all the incumbents. And as Mukesh Ambani mentioned, the fact that the aim to grow further within the telco space, it's already has the maximum number of subscribers. So I think it only places a lot more pressure on the incumbents. And we'll definitely see some movement from them.
Right. I'm going to take it across to Ajay Sharma as well, my colleague who had logged into the AGM as well. Ajay, we were left with glimpses of how Steve Jobs back in the day used to address Apple shareholders. The AGM was really that. You never even felt that this was all virtual. But besides telecom, Ajay, what to your mind stood out?
See, bulk of the stuff already flashed on the screen and everybody's talking about it. But as somebody who's observed the company for some time, two things stood out for me. One is, the word global was very often spoken about in the speech, be it global investors, global partnerships, and now even global ambitions. Because up till now, only their fuel and, the commodity business was global oriented. Jio was completely domestic, retail is completely domestic. But now Mukesh Ambani is standing and today talking about Jio becoming a global technology company, and hence these partnerships will come in handy is something which stood out. And the second emphasis on partnerships. And there was so much emphasis in partnerships, and clearly also talking about future partnerships in Reliance Retail also coming, which the market wanted to know. And he even said that in the next coming months, we'll keep you informed about it. And the fear that Aramco deal is actually not happening, he assuaged a lot of concerns, saying that Aramco is taking time for unforeseen global issues, but other global investors are interested in OTC business. So these three things really stood out for me over and above what has actually happened in the last 2-3 months, or 2-3 weeks already announced in Reliance. In fact, Nitin Soni is also with us. Nitin, what were your, say, top 2 takeaways, especially in the Jio business, and talking about Jio wanting to become a technology major in the next coming years, globally?
Yeah, thanks, Ajay, for having me on the show. I think there are, a number of important announcements made during the AGM. I think the key takeaways I had was, obviously, one is the large investment by Google, about $5 billion for a 7.7% stake, and the partnership to have an operating system for Android-based smartphones. And secondly, also on the announcement there that the company is developing homegrown 5G solutions to launch the 5G services in India. I think these are really, key announcements ever heard from an Indian company. India, as we know, that is really lagging behind, China and other regional countries in terms of technology developments. We have good telecom infrastructure in place, but in terms of technological development, in terms of actually developing operating systems and newer technologies, we have been lagging behind. But I think this route of doing partnership with major technology giants like Google and Facebook will enable Jio to, innovate technologies and adopt technologies in India. And I think this whole process will accelerate the digital adoption in India, will also accelerate the trend of 2G, 3G customers to move to 4G. We already know that whenever a customer buys a new handset, they are essentially moving from 2G, 3G to a 4G customer. And that drives the average revenue per user for Jio and other telecom operators as well. So this announcement and, that they are going to make 2G Mukt India, I think this will further rapidly accelerate the movement of 2G, 3G customers to 4G. And this will make, obviously, the profitability of the telecom operations also will increase because of this. Because we know that the ARPU for 4G customers are much higher than 2G and 3G. Bharti, as we know, that they have already shut down their 3G operations. So this is really going to help Jio and also Bharti to gain more 4G customers. And I think there's going to be a big loss to Vodafone Idea, which has a greater share of 2G, 3G customers. And the churn from Vodafone Idea will increase significantly from here on. And they're already losing, 10 to 15 million customers a quarter. I think that trend will just accelerate from here on, and Jio will greatly benefit in terms of subscriber addition.
Nitin will come back and scratch that point a little more, but Harshwardhan Dole is also here. I need to get his thoughts on the oil to chemical business, which Mukesh Ambani today spoke about being spun off into a separate company, of course. But since Aramco deal is not happening because of issues globally, other multiple global players seem to be interested in it. So does this commentary assuage the concerns about delay in O2C business, the value unlocking there, Harshwardhan?
See, frankly, if you analyze the stock price movement in last 6 months, the significant catalyst has been induction of strategic investors in Jio Platforms Limited, and that has kind of re-rated the stock to a new level. Now, while the investors have been having a faith and belief that somewhere down the line, Aramco or a global partner will come in, they were of the opinion that, hey, look, this is a pandemic situation, and instead of running into the situation and selling the stake at cheap valuations, I think it's worth if Reliance takes a pause and then at a right opportunist time encashes on the opportunity. I think that scenario has more or less kind of played out. And to me, to that extent, I'm not quite disappointed. In fact, what pleases me is the balance sheet pressure is significantly over, and to that extent, there is no great pressure on RIL to sell the stake to an identified or pre-identified investor at a pre-committed valuation. So now all cards are open. They can induct multiple investors as and when the new downstream company is set up and approved by the NCLT. While that is on the Aramco deal, I think what I'm positively surprised is and enthused by their focus on the cutting down carbon emissions. And this actually holds prominence because a lot of ESG concerned investors are shying away from O2C businesses. And in that context, if RIL has laid a vision to be a carbon-free company in the next 15 years' time, certainly it will help garner attention from some of the ESG compliant and vigilant investors, which will go a long way in improving the shareholding pattern of RIL.
Sure. Naveen Kulkarni also joining us. Naveen, let me get your perspective in as well. We've been hearing the others, on the global language coming in this time around. Even on the valuations, this is clearly a strategic investment that we're seeing from Google, and the focus really, despite all the other touch points, continuing to be on Jio, on digitization, and pushing that forward.
Yeah. So again. The thoughts are quite similar to what previous speakers have said. So what Reliance is trying to achieve is a tremendous scale which they have already achieved, but across technologies also. Now we are also looking at 5G and IoT gameplay coming through, right? So that's going to be another major feature of their product profile. Apart from that, they also talked about home broadband and the other services on the Jio platform, right, which can become fairly large. So now they pretty much have the resources to probably take this to a completely different level. So that's, I think, is going to be very interesting. We also talked about close to around 50 crore kind of customer base for Reliance Jio, which again is a very, very huge number, right? So I think overall, I would say that the ambitions and are quite large, and also they have the resources to back that. And more importantly, the strategic tie-ups and partnerships to build all these things from here on. So from a perspective of providing a vision and let's say a technological path ahead, I think they have managed to do that in this AGM. I think that's one great clarity that they have provided.
Nikhil, let me come to you on this as well. In terms of, first of all, I think it's very rare to see an AGM where you've got an address by Mark Zuckerberg as well as Sundar Pichai, and clearly demonstrating the might of the global partnerships and the alliances they've built in these last few months. In terms of the opportunity going forwards, how do you feel markets are now going to value this? Because if anything, he has shown really the way forward with Jio. We've talked about a possible NASDAQ listing for Jio Platforms. No timeline or indication of that as of now, but from a market standpoint, really, how excited do you feel they're going to be about the kind of vision, as Naveen said, that they've painted today?
I think markets would be quite excited because at the moment, all the interested parties are buying into the potential of Jio Platforms and what these potential partnerships with Facebook, Google, Qualcomm, Intel, all of these guys mean. And India is one of the biggest markets around the world. And while China is off limits for most of these or a lot of these global investments due to a variety of reasons, India remains a great investment opportunity. However, the challenge for Jio is that all the Jio Platforms has put itself in a great position and repositioned as a tech platform. The vision that Mukesh Ambani shared today it still has to figure out effective monetization strategies. It will continue to come up against a lot of strong competitors in many of the spaces where it intends to grow. Like they spoke about JioMeet with MBike. So they would come against major education players along those. So they would continue to come up where against fierce competitors in content, education, artificial intelligence, even 5G. So Jio Platforms is yet to showcase that ability to effectively monetize that whole platform that they are talking about. And a lot of these investments that other major global providers are making, they're still figuring out where exactly is the potential for them to grow. But right now they're investing a lot in the potential of the platform. And moreover, some of these global technology giants, such as Amazon, already have a strong presence in India, and others such as Walmart, Alibaba, and Tencent have made these strategic investments. So I think Jio Platform is headed in the right direction, but it will need to stay the course, keep executing on its plans to keep continuously creating this kind of the value for shareholders, consumers, the enterprise customers, as well as the country in the longer term. So the Digital India vision that Mukesh Ambani spoke about today as well.
You know, it's interesting. Our researchers are just doing the math, and the Google stake valuation of the Jio platform that stands at about 4.38 lakh crore rupees, while the Google deal values Jio Platforms similar to Facebook deal as a strategic partner. It's also lower by 11% versus the recent private equity deals. Naveen, if I could come to you, how much of the positives were already in the stock price? I mean, look what's happened to the market today, and look how much Reliance has fallen after that gain of 57% alone, the share price from the last AGM to now. Because, you know, be it the Google deal, be it all the announcements that have been made today, that's something that the market was already talking about.
Yes, so if we look at, let's say, if we value, let's say, Reliance Industries just based on the deal values, like if I were to value a Jio at around 5 lakh odd crores, 5 lakh 20 odd thousand crores, and the other businesses based on the recent deal values, then I would probably be 3 or 4% lower than the current market price today, right? So that's where the value will be for Reliance Industries. So, of course, the market did run up quite a bit based on the expectations of announcements and some other announcements in entities like retail and even in the oil and gas business. So I think probably to some extent the market eventually was a bit disappointed. And also, I think it was to do with the sell-on news kind of a trade which was happening today. So there is a lot of positions which were built up in the stock, I believe. A lot of leverage positions. I think that got unwound. But having said that, I don't see a huge challenge from the current levels also, because the kind of roadmap that they have indicated, that still will excite a lot of long-term investors to still come in.
Right. Okay. We just have time enough for one last question. So let me take Harshwardhan and Dole's last view. Harshwardhan, at these valuations, the way the vision of value creation has been shared today, and with the recent history of value unlocking initiatives taken, what are your numbers showing? What is your view next 3-4 years far out? What kind of shape can this company take?
Well, about a couple of weeks back, we had put out a detailed note on Reliance, and whereby we had said that based on the near-term earnings trajectory, the stock is more or less pricing in near-term earnings scenario. But if the strategy is implemented seamlessly across the divisions, that is, getting in an Aramco kind of a player, a partner in the downstream O2C business, better disclosures and scale up in JioMart business, then the valuations differential between, say, a DMart and what the street is ascribing to Jio's Reliance's retail business can considerably narrow down, and that can add a tremendous value. And the third factor is, of course, the overall blended ARPU increase or how Jio is able to monetize various digital applications or the ecosystem that it has created by, either by way of, charging for, some of the applications or, by cross-selling various other products. So if entire execution is seamless, in my view, in next 12 to 18 months, the stock can trade to blue sky scenario valuation, which is 2.5k or 2,500 rupees to us in the next 12 to 18 months. So we'll actually look forward to further details in terms of how these numbers are penning up, and quarter by quarter how these numbers scale up for our confidence to go up. As such, we remain buyers of the stock.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us and taking us through your detailed perspective on the announcements today. All very exciting, as Mukesh Ambani and his team outlined the vision for Jio, as well as, of course, reassure investors on some of the other critical businesses and the way forward. That's where we're going to have to leave it for now. We'll continue to bring you more from the AGM in our shows through the afternoon. Do stay tuned, and thanks for watching ET Now.